Hello viewers, welcome to Ekam IAS Academy. In this video, we are going to discuss about key highlights of today's budget 2024. So we are going to discuss what is budget, what is this budget speciality. So it is not a normal budget, right? Because this year we have elections, general elections to Lok Sabha. That is why government usually presents an interim budget, not a full-fledged budget. Okay, so we'll see what is the difference between normal budget, interim budget, and also vote on account. That is another type of budget. So we'll see the differences briefly. Then we'll go into highlights. What are the main highlights from the finance minister's speech made today, and what are the allocations made for different sectors and all. We'll be discussing in this video. So here you can see what are the things. 5 news, we'll see what is the interim budget mean, and we'll also see sector specific highlights of this particular budget. Okay, so this forms part of Indian economy in budgeting. Okay, so without any further delay, let's start. So today our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman has presented interim budget in the Lok Sabha. Okay, so normally interim budget is like a temporary budget. Okay, it is not a full-fledged budget presented for a shorter period, because in the coming elections there may be a change in government. Okay, so they won't include all the policies they want, or they don't because interim budget will be subjected to model code of conduct imposed by the election commission. Okay, so they cannot go for pleasing the people, or pleasing schemes cannot be announced in this particular interim budget. Okay, so they have to give in a broader way. So what are the differences, we'll see in a while. So why it is a news, because today interim budget was tabled. So before this, a general thing which you have to know. Okay, the static part related to budget is the word budget is not at all mentioned, okay, in the Indian constitution, but instead we have under article 112 of Indian constitution, annual financial statement. This is a word used in the Indian constitution. So then what is the meaning of this annual financial statement? That means it is the detailed account of all the expenditure, revenue, and the receipts, capital receipts for the government of India. Okay, so whatever the expenditure, how government of India is spending every rupee, and how the government of India is earning every rupee, all these things will be accounted in the budget. Okay, and interestingly, budget is a word which is derived from French origin, and that actually if you have traced back, okay, what is the word meaning means, it is nothing but a leather bag. Okay, so the practice of carrying this budget in a bag, okay, from that it has its origins. Okay, so it is an interesting fact. So if you have known, first budget was placed in India in 1860, okay, during Britishers time. Later after independence also, then we are continuing the practice. So then you should know what are the stages of presenting a budget, and who should actually present a budget is also very interesting question, because the responsibility is there on the President of India, but on behalf of the President of India, usually Union Finance Minister will present a budget in the Lok Sabha. Okay, so these are the things which you should know from the static part, and 6 stages of passing a budget are there. So like presentation of the budget, general discussion, all these things, okay, you need to know from the static part. Please revise them when you're reading these things at the same time. Okay, so then here what is the interim budget means. Interim budget, as I told you, it is a temporary budget. Okay, so which is presented for shorter time. Then there is also another budget called vote on account. What is the difference between this and interim budget, you should know. Okay, so interim budget can include some like policy formulations, means they can announce new policies, or they can make some changes in the tax regimes. Okay, so that is allowed under interim budget. But coming to vote on account, only for expenditure purposes if they want, means the government of India, because Union executive alone cannot withdraw the money from the consolidated fund of India. So because they are financially accountable to the parliament, so to get this financial accountability, how they have to, means they have to get the approval from the parliament. Okay, to authorize, like parliament will authorize to withdraw any money from the consolidated fund of India. So to withdraw money for short term expenditure, that is for 3 to 4 months of expenditure to meet like to pay salaries, interest payments, and all these things. So if they withdraw money, okay, so without announcing any policy formulations, or without announcing any changes in the tax regime, then it is called as vote on account. Okay, but this time they have presented interim budget, means policy formulations can be announced on the floor of the house, but they can also include some tax related changes. Okay, so this is different from the vote on account budget. So this is what both you have to remember is, both are subjected to election commission's model code of conduct. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. And another important difference you need to know is, interim budget is subjected to both voting and discussion in the parliament. Okay, so it can be discussed and it can be voted upon, but like normal budget. Okay, because you know, in case if budget is not passed, and if you know, have remembered, Finance Act has made a condition, okay, so that within 75 days it should get passed. Okay, otherwise the government has to resign. The same things will apply even to the interim budget. Okay, but in case of vote on account, there won't be any voting. Okay, they will just pass the budget without any discussion. Okay, so these are the things which you have to keep in mind. So here there is a detailed like differences between interim budget and vote on account. Okay, it can proposes changes in the tax regime. Okay, so vote on account means to withdraw money from the consolidated fund, temporary purposes for essential expenditure. Okay, so that is what, and you know, it doesn't involve any major policy formulations in vote on account, whereas interim budget can announce. And you know, interim budget formal discussion and approval is required. Okay, it is same like a full-time budget, and you know, vote on account means without any formal discussion, okay, it can get passed. So as I told you, then interim budget is valid through entire financial year. Vote on account is only for a specific period for which it is passed. Okay, and both are subjected to election code of conduct. Okay, so this is what you have to remember. Then we are going to discuss now the key highlights of the today's budget. Okay, so if you have seen, the finance minister, even yesterday, President of India, when she announced like when she addressed both houses of parliament, at that time also she reflected in her speech that main focus of this government's governance will be on 4 sections. Who are they? Poor, youth, women and farmers. So they said 4 castes. 4 castes are there with the government. Okay, the government is identifying themselves with the 4 castes. So who are there means poor, youth, women and farmers. So this budget is focusing on these 4 sections of society. Okay, so this is what you have to keep in mind, and their needs and aspirations, okay, that is guiding their guiding the country's growth. So their focus is mainly on these 4 sections. Then if you have seen, government is working towards Vikasit Bharat. Okay, if you have remembered, Vikasit Bharat means we wanted to make India from developing country to developed country. Okay, and our focus is on Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas, that is inclusive growth. Okay, then on social justice front also, finance minister announced that our government is working with an approach that development should be all-round development, all pervasive means distributive development, and all inclusive development. Okay, so this is what the major crux of the speech. Then coming to sector wise tax benefits. Okay, if you have remembered, we have direct taxes and indirect taxes, progressive and regressive taxes or another type we have. So in direct taxes, you know, major tax collections are there from the income tax sector. Okay, so you know, direct tax, because GST, these type of taxes are indirect. Okay, so now if you have seen, income tax is the biggest income generator for the government. Okay, how much income? Almost 19% of the income. Okay, so you can see here 19% of income tax revenues. Okay, it is amounting to 19% of total government resources in the year, fiscal year or financial year 2025. Okay, so you should know. Next highest is GST in indirect taxes. Okay, indirect taxes, it is the first one. Okay, then in the tax, direct taxes, and it is corporation tax. Second place corporation tax you have, and in indirect taxes GST is the first one. Okay, so you should know how every rupee comes to government of India and how government of India is spending every rupee, on what sectors it is spending more and what sectors it is earning more. Okay, so these are the things which you need to know. Then there are no changes to income tax slabs. Okay, because as I told you, in the short while only, like in mostly in July again, the new government which is formed at the union level, so they will introduce the full-fledged budget along with the economic survey. You know, there is no economic survey because we are not presenting full-time budget. Okay, so what are the no changes means, whatever the old tax slabs are there, those only are getting continued. And one smaller change you can say compared to the previous one is, tax rebate is allowed only till 5 lakhs in the previous term, but now they have increased this tax rebate until 7 lakhs. Okay, so you know, I'm just explaining briefly. So below 3 lakhs there is no tax payment. Okay, so you need not pay anything. 3 to 6 lakhs you have 5%, 6 to 9 lakhs you have 10%, like this. Okay, it increases 15%, 25%, like this we have tax slabs. Okay, so if you are earning more than 25 lakhs, then surcharge also. Surcharge is nothing but a tax on tax. Okay, so it will also apply on that particular amount of income. Okay, so these are the things you have to know. In 7 lakhs tax rebate means whenever the tax liability is exceeding, okay, then you will get that whatever the extra amount is there, that will be refunded in the form of tax rebate. So this is allowed till 7 lakh rupees. Then number of tax filers has increased almost 2.4 times. Okay, so that is a good sign. Then direct tax collections has tripled since 2014. These type of things are very important in prelims examination, okay, because they can ask you that what is the like always, if you have remembered, they don't focus on figures, but they'll focus on trends, growth patterns, okay. So the tremendously increased or decreased or the continuous increase in the last 5 years or 10 years, such things can be asked, okay. So focus on these things. So it has tripled since 2014, and you have to know when you are reading static part what are direct taxes, okay. So income tax, corporation tax, and all other taxes which are direct, okay, you should know. Then 2024-25 tax receipts are projected to be 26 lakh crores, okay. So this is the projection made under the union budget presented today. Then tax exemptions given to startups extended till March 31st 2025, means again 1 more year. So what are the exemptions normally given whenever a startup is registered, okay. So within 7 years, first 3 years 100% tax rebate will be there on the profits they earn, okay. They don't need to pay any tax, okay, but one condition is their turnover should not cross 25 crore rupees, okay. So means this is continuing till March 31st 2025 itself, okay. So this is one related to tax. Then economic growth, okay. So normally we know we'll measure economic growth in terms of GDP of a country. GDP means the total value of all finished goods and services produced within the territory of the country, okay. It includes the goods and services produced by nationals and also foreigners also. That is what the difference between GDP and GNP we have, right? So you know, presently we are almost like we are approaching $5 trillion economy, and you know, this economic growth is like redefined in this particular budget, okay. So what did the finance minister define GDP as? Governance, development, and performance, okay. In this way they wanted to achieve this GDP growth, okay. So they wanted GDP to be as part of governance, development, and performance, okay. Then the macroeconomic stability is also achieved. Macroeconomic stability means we are in a stable way, okay, in all round sectors including external sector. That is what one main focus of this particular budget. Then investments are robust, means we are attracting good investments. Even if you have remembered FDI, okay, so it is almost around $600 billion that came into India since 2014 to 23, okay. So this is the number we have received. So this investments are robust and economy is also doing well, and you know, real incomes have increased by 50%, okay. Increased incomes is also one welcome sign, and inflation is moderate. You know, inflation is one of the main target, okay, of RBI under monetary policy, you know, because price stability as well as economic growth, those are the two objectives of any like central bank, even the RBI also. You know, RBI has kept a threshold of 2 plus or minus 4%. That means within 2 to 6% range only we should have. What is the inflation that is taken as a benchmark? Consumer price inflation, okay. This is a benchmark inflation taken by RBI to account the inflation in the economy. Then per capita income. What is per capita income? The average income, okay, of any person earned in the particular area within a given period of time. So in between 2013-14 it was around 68,572 rupees, but now it is projected to be around 98,374 rupees, okay. So almost it has increased 40%. That is also a welcome sign. Then nominal GDP is expected to grow by 10.5%. What is nominal GDP and real GDP? These differences you need to know from the static part. Nominal GDP is when you are measuring the prices at the current level. Current level means in that particular year, okay. So nominal means current prices, okay. So here you don't take inflation into control. When you're just in that particular year, what is the price level? That is only what you are checking. But in case of real GDP, you will measure, okay, the price level with respect to constant prices. Constant prices are also you can say with reference to a base year, okay. Base year means, for example, if you have taken 2011-12 as a base year, with reference to that year, what is the price level change? That means here you will be taking inflation into control, okay. So this is taken as the best performer, or you can say best target, you can say, or best parameter to measure the economic growth, okay. So in this year, financial year 24-25, it is expected to grow by 10.5%. That is one projection made. Then what is fiscal deficit? Okay, so fiscal deficit means what is the gap between the revenue and expenditure for the government of India. Okay, so whatever it is earning and whatever it is spending, that gap you call fiscal deficit. So it is at around 5.8%, which is lower than 5.9% the target. Okay, so but in the coming financial year or fiscal year, they wanted to set it around 5.1%. This this they wanted to make it to 5.1, and in the future, okay, almost in the next year, by next year we wanted to achieve below 4%. okay, so if you have remembered, FRBM committee, Fiscal Responsibility Budget Management Act, okay, 2003 we have, no, headed by NK Singh, okay, so they have recommended that fiscal deficit targets for both center and states, okay, so that is not till met, okay, so there are some exceptional clauses also, you know. So then increasing this capital investment outlay by 11.1% to almost 11.11 lakh crore. Capital investment outlay means when you are investing money, okay, to increase the business performance, or when you are investing the money to increase like machineries, infrastructure, all these things, that is called capital investment outlay. So we wanted to increase this so that it is 3.4% of the GDP. okay. Then agriculture related sector, agriculture and farmers, okay, so they said almost over 10 years 25 crore people came out of multidimensional poverty. okay, so if you have remembered, we have discussed in detail about multidimensional poverty index released recently by Oxford International, okay, Oxford Poverty International, and also UNDP. okay, so those things we have discussed in a separate video. Please, if you haven't watched that, you can go through. So almost 25 crore people were lifted out of multidimensional poverty. okay, then government saved almost 2.7 lakh crore by preventing this leakage, because you know previously when there is a direct cash transfer, okay, so the people, middlemen, used to exploit the beneficiaries and they used to like reap the benefits of the intended scheme. So now through this DBT, okay, so DBT, you know, there is Aadhaar linkage and bank account linkage. So because of this we are trying to eradicate these leakages. And Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana accounts, okay, you know, this scheme was mainly aimed at financial inclusion, announced as part of 2014 when the government came into power. They have announced this. okay, so with these schemes they have saved almost 2.7 lakh crore. okay, this is also a beneficiary thing. And you know, under PM Kisan, okay, so every year we are receiving, like farmers are able to receive money, no, 6,000 rupees. So that is also received through this DPT and PMJDY only. okay, then government's electronic national agriculture market, ENAM, you know. okay, so national agriculture market means you can have unified market, and from one place to another place we can sell the products easily. okay, and you have APMCs, agriculture produce marketing committees, also have been integrated so that so many crore farmers are getting benefited out of this trade, agriculture trade. So this is what. And next is infrastructure related thing. We'll just go through this next one first. So infrastructure means the government wants to focus on three major things, that is railway corridors. okay, so you can see in railways only they wanted to construct separate energy corridor, mineral corridors and cement corridors, and also they wanted to go for decongestion of this high traffic density corridors, so that what happens, it improves logistics efficiency. If you have remembered, World Bank is releasing logistics performance index. okay, you should know what is India's latest rank. Then you also, like, what is the main objective of this is to decongest high traffic corridors so that safety as well as speed both will be achieved. okay, then another infrastructure related scheme is digital public infrastructure. What is digital public infrastructure means, which is involving any any infrastructural related announcements related to digital sector, like for example UPA, United Payments Interface, which we use as part of our daily lives, Digi Yatra, you have Digi Locker, digital certificates, we have anything. okay, so all this will be cyber security related measures. All these are forming part of digital public infrastructure. So the government is mainly focusing on these things. Even COVID also, during COVID times, that helped so many, so this is mainly. okay, so this is helping in formalization of economy. When everything is getting digitalized, okay, so there will be more formalization of economy. Formalization, if it happens, what will be the benefit? More tax receipts can be received by the government. okay, then it is also combined with social and physical infrastructure. What is social infrastructure? Like establishing schools, hospitals and all these things is a social infrastructure. Then physical infrastructure means roads, dams, all these things will be part of physical infrastructure. So when these three are integrated, we can achieve more benefits. That is what the budget is focusing upon. Then housing. With respect to housing, announced finance minister has announced that 2 crore more households will be brought under this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin. So this is under Ministry of Rural Development. okay, so you should know. And you have Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban also, that is under Ministry of Urban Affairs. okay, Urban and Housing Affairs. So 2 more crore people will be brought under this. So then rooftop solarization, if you have remembered, in the recent times this has gained prominence because on the eve of inauguration of Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, so Prime Minister has announced a new program, okay, if you have remembered, Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana, okay, so that is also aiming at providing rooftop installations to 1 crore households. If you have remembered, in 2014 this government, when they came to power, they have announced a separate scheme to facilitate this rooftop installations, and they have kept a target to achieve 40 gigawatts, because if you have remembered, out of 175 gigawatts what we wanted to achieve through renewable energy, in this we wanted to achieve 100 gigawatts through solar energy. In this 100 also we wanted to achieve 40 gigawatts through rooftop, okay, that is what this program is intended. But we wanted to achieve this by 2022. As we couldn't achieve this target was extended till 2026. But what is the current status, how much we are able to produce when we are not able to produce 40 gigawatts, only around 11.7 gigawatts only we are producing. Means to reap this gap, okay, to decrease this gap, and we wanted to enhance the rooftop power generation, this Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana was announced, okay, and also 1 crore households are getting covered under this program. And in the recent budget, okay, the finance minister announced that 300 units of free electricity will be provided every month. Means if they have installed rooftop, so they will be provided with 300 free units, and whatever the energy that is generated from their particular installation, that can be sold, like excess can be sold off to the grid, and additional income also can be there, okay, so for the household. So that means their electricity bills are getting saved and additional income, and also we are helping to minimize fossil fuel based emissions, and we are trying to achieve net zero. That is what the target we have kept by 2070. So this is the main thing you have to remember. Then Panchamrit goals were also highlighted by the finance minister. You know, Panchamrit is very important for the Indian economy to meet whatever the India's commitments we made as part of Paris Agreement in 2015 COP21. So if you have remembered, at COP21, okay, that is in 2021, in COP26 in Glasgow that happened in Switzerland, our Prime Minister has announced that to meet Paris Agreement goals from the side of India, the Prime Minister has announced we wanted to go for Panchamrit principles. So what are those? We wanted to reach, earlier it is 175 gigawatts, no? Now this has been increased to 500 gigawatts of non-fossil energy, that means renewable energy capacity by 2030. This is the target you have to remember, okay. So these type of questions can be asked in any state PCS or UPSC. They can ask what is the target, or they can change these target years or numbers. So please remember these 5 principles very easily. Then meet 50% of India's energy requirements from renewable sources by 2030, okay, at least 50% of energy generation, because we are highly dependent on coal for energy. So this has to be decreased, and we have to increase renewable energy share by 50%, and also we have to reduce carbon intensity of economy by 40% below 2005 levels, okay. So below 2005 levels, that is also one thing. Previously we have kept this as 33 to 35%. Now this was enhanced to 45%. Observe the differences. Then reduce total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons by 2030. Even carbon emissions also have to be reduced. How we have to reduce carbon emissions? By afforestation, all this carbon sequestration type of things, okay, and reducing the non-fossil fuel or reducing the fossil based emissions. Then achieving the target of net zero by 2070, okay. This is what India has kept the target. Then for youth, what is the thing? Because youth is also one important pillar of today's budget speech, okay. So if you have seen, a corpus of 1 lakh crore will be released, okay. So established with 50-year interest free loans will be provided, so that any youth who is interested in getting entrepreneurship or these things, they can get long term financing and refinancing with long term tenures with low or nil interest rates. This is one boosting scheme for entrepreneurship among the youth, along with skill development related initiatives. This will also encourage private sector to do research and innovation in sunrise domains, whichever the emerging sectors are there, in those we can enhance this, okay. So you can see these are the things announced for the taxpayers, okay. Scrapping non-verified disputed tax demands. So this is what one major thing they have announced. And with respect to middle class families, as I told you, they have announced housing scheme, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Here you can see with respect to fiscal deficit 4.5% they wanted to achieve by 2026, and this is 5.1% for this year. And you can see with respect to infrastructure capex outlay as 11.11 crores, and you can see 40,000 normal bogies to be transformed into Vande Bharat standards, okay, upgradation of infrastructure, railways. Then FDI you can see almost we are near to $600 billion. So this is a important area you have to focus upon, and it is doubling, almost double during this period of 2005 to 14. Compared to that we have double now. And you can see Atmanirbhar agriculture. So in agriculture we wanted to achieve oil seeds also, so that is why even GM mustard also we are trying to introduce, right? So in oil seeds, because we are highly dependent on imports, this has to be reduced. And nano DAP also with respect to this we wanted to achieve, so that less carbon emissions will be there in all agroclimatic zones. This is another scheme announced. Then you can see free electricity. This, as I told you, rooftop solarization you can see. And here with respect to maternal and child care, okay, so they wanted to give a unified program for maternal and child, Anganwadi upgradation, nutrition and early childhood care, UWIN portal, okay, this is with respect to immunization, and Mission Indradhanush for expanded immunization, okay. So these things you have to know. Then with respect to health, more medical colleges are going to be established, and Ayushman Bharat is getting extended even for ASHA workers. With respect to cervical cancer, Cervivac, if you have remembered, vaccination is also getting upgraded, okay, for the girls between 9 to 14 years, okay, in a phased manner. Then you can see 2 crore more families are able to get under Pradhan Mantri Awas Gramin Yojana, and you can see they can get some interest subsidies from the government. And Nari Shakti you can see almost 30 crore Mudra loans, okay, Mudra, you know, self-financing program. So this is also getting a boost from this. And 28% growth in female enrollment in higher education is achieved in the last 10 years. Pradhan Mantri Awas homes, okay, these are jointly owned by or solely owned by women, okay. So if they give any homes under this, they are trying to make it under the name of the women. So with respect to farmers, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Yojana, you know, Kisan Samman Nidhi. So how many benefits are there, how many people are getting benefited is 11.8 crore people are getting benefited, farmers, and 6,000 per year is given to every farmer in 3 equal installments. And crop insurance, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, okay, that is also given. With respect to education, last 9 years, Skill India, you can see these things you can write in mains related answers, right? Okay, these are the IITs and IIMs established in the last 9 years. You can see freedom from poverty, this thing, 25 crore people from multidimensional poverty. DBT has benefited almost 34 lakh crore rupees, okay, so we have saved this much amount of money using DBTs and Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. With respect to Atmanirbhar agriculture, oil seeds and nano DAP, so we have seen these things, okay. As we have come to the end of the video, let's see the practice question. You can see select the incorrect phase of the budget process in India, okay. So what is meant by budget formulation, enactment, execution and judicial review of budget implementation, which is incorrect, okay, you have to answer in the comment section. Then mains question for practice, what do you understand by interim budget, how does it vary from the annual budget? So this is a mains question for practice. As we have come to the end of the video, in this video we have discussed key highlights of today's interim budget, sector wise we have seen, and also we have seen what is the difference between interim budget and vote on account budget, why we have gone for interim budget, okay. This is all the crux of this video. Thank you.